Okay. Well, first, welcome back to the channel. Second, this is a warning. If you haven't seen the last One Piece video I did, you should go see that first because some things happened, and we've made it through. So before we go into like volume 50, I just want to give like a shout out to Oda and what he did in this volume. Yeah, there's always like these little question corners and things. I noticed this cover was different. It looked like it had been colored in because it's a little darker than normal. And he actually answers this in his question corners that he does in every volume. And so the reason that it was colored was it was his way of showing respect to Akira Toriyama, who wrote Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball ran for 519 chapters. And I just thought that was really cool for someone like Oda, who is probably one of the greatest manga creators of all time, to show respect to another great creator. And I do like the title of that, Natural Born King. I wonder if he did that on purpose to kind of give another nod to Akira Toriyama. But it's so refreshing because, especially like in America, I don't know, I feel like it's so competitive that you don't really see a lot of people give nods to people that they respect in their same industry because everybody wants to be the top. But then to have someone like Oda, who is #1 in best-selling manga, most popular manga, to be like, no, here's one of my heroes. And just a subtle little nod of like, I have kind of like surpassed you, and not in like a, again, competitive way, but just kind of like a student becoming the teacher type of thing. I don't know. It had nothing to do with the volume. I just really appreciated that, so I wanted to throw that in there real quick. But yeah, let's get on to volume 53. Luffy is flying through the air and he lands on Lily Island, which is basically like the Amazons, like an island full of women. They don't even know what men look like. And he's covered in mushrooms. They take him back and start pulling off the mushrooms. Except for one mushroom. I don't even know if I could... they were pulling on his family jewels. There you go. What a way to start a volume. So it is an island that basically do not trust men, do not want men on the island, and Luffy is there naked on that island. And the empress of that island is Boa Hancock, which we find out is actually one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Going to be honest with you, she starts off as a very annoying character, because she's like, I'm beautiful, and everyone falls in love with me. I don't know, like, I didn't love that. But by the end of this volume, I really feel for her. And that's what I really wanted to, like, hit on this volume. Because it's happened multiple other characters, multiple other volumes, but I can't remember if I've actually talked about it. The way Oda does characters where they can come off as kind of annoying, but then he gives them this backstory where you're like, I did not like this character, now I'm crying with this character. And it's within like 2 or 3 chapters. It's so impressive. It's like, it is honestly very, very impressive what he's done. So we learn about this island and its inhabitants and Boa Hancock. And Luffy basically makes friends with Marguerite, I think her name is. Kind of seems like a one-off adventure on this island until like the final 2 chapters where you're like, oh my god. So we're kind of introduced to Boa Hancock, and she is being asked to join the other warlords because they're going to combine with the Navy to take down Whitebeard. Again, there's like bits and pieces. I feel like there is a bigger story happening where we're not at as like the reader. Is that weird? I feel like that's kind of weird. I wonder if the phrasing's right. I feel like there's a bunch of other pieces happening in the world that we don't know about while we're on our adventure with the Straw Hats. Which is great because it shows how big of a world One Piece is. Because I feel like a lot of like manga and stuff, it's about the main characters, and this story is about the main characters, but it's one of the only mangas that I feel like the world moves around even if we don't know about it. And then we hear like bits and pieces of information. Like Whitebeard's been mentioned, the 7 warlords of the sea have been mentioned, but it's not like we have met characters, but we haven't like followed a straight and narrow path. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is happening in the world, and then we learn about it from another character that just shows up, and it's a little annoying because I want to know what's going on, but it's amazing world building that he's doing. So Luffy, since he's landed on this island, has basically been sentenced to die. And the women of the island are basically trying to track him down, hunt him down, before Boa can return. Because they are afraid of, well, if the Empress and the Princess, she returns and she's going to be so mad and furious, we got to hunt him down. And when he does get captured and Boa pretty much throws him in this arena to fight this panther, he one-shots immediately and puts this panther down. Like it was one shot gone. And then when she gets aggravated at that, she throws her two sisters at him and says, destroy him. And their whole legend on this island is like, oh, Medusa, Gorgon, they have eyes on the back of their back, and if you see it, you're turned to stone. So, like, if you're seeing her at bath time, you can't look at her. That's their whole legend. Because as we find out at the end of this volume, the backstory on the eyes on her back, it was a good one. It was really well done. And Marguerite, who has kind of been like his friend, and she's kind of started to like fall for him. I don't know if in like a love way, but in like a friendship way. They have a friendship, and she says, "Hey, it's just all my fault." And her other two friends kind of jump in. It's like, "No, it's our fault too that he's on this island." Boa turns him to stone, which was a big mistake. And now Luffy is furious. So Luffy is fighting the two Gorgon sisters of Boa Hancock. And for some reason, he's like, I'm made of rubber. Why does this hurt? Because, you know, they got poison. Their attacks are hurting him. And he is honestly, they're giving him a good fight. But Luffy ends up kind of tying their tails together because they're in their snake form, which is basically devil fruits, but everyone thinks it's part of the Gorgon curse that they have. And he does Gum Gum Gatling, and kind of they're all set aflames, and their back gets exposed. And this is why Luffy is a great character. What he says here was amazing. Jumps on her back and covers her mark. She thinks if it wasn't for him, everyone would see my mark, which still up until this point, the people on the island think, they get turned to stone and eyes. And Luffy on her back says, I know you want to kill me, but I don't want to kill you. And you said you would rather die than have someone see what's on your back. And she asks, why would you help me? And he says, what's on your back has nothing to do with our duel. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to kill you. I'm just doing this to go save my crewmates. And that's the thing. Luffy really never wants to hurt anybody. He gets put in these situations where he's like, I have to. He doesn't want to cause harm. It was just such a great moment. Like, I had to point it out because I really, really liked that moment. And Boa sees it and says, everybody leave the stadium. And she gives Luffy a choice. She says, I will grant you one request. Either I'll give you my ship, or I will turn back Marguerite and the three that have been turned to stone. Without thinking, Luffy's like, oh yeah, great, thank you so much, turn back. Like, turn him back. Didn't even think about the ship, because she thought, oh, this is where his true colors are going to show. He's like, nah, turn him back. I'm good, I'll figure it out later. She was so blown away by this, and Luffy was so happy to have Marguerite and them back, because he didn't want them to get hurt because of him. Again, like this whole little section of a scene, it shows Luffy's character better than we've seen in a good few chapters. So now that Boa Hancock has seen the type of man Luffy is, she invites him back, they have a feast, he's so excited, he's showing them the little sticks in the nostrils, they're having a great time. Well, hey, celebrating and all. Luffy and Marguerite kind of run off from the festival because everybody wants to touch Luffy, and they're like, he's a man? I gotta tell you, he's so stretchy. They're charging people to touch him. It's such a... Oh. It was funny. It was weird, but funny. And when they sneak off, Luffy has a conversation with Boa, and Boa finally explains her mark, which is actually a mark from the Celestial Dragons that Luffy finally punched in the face. Again, I am so glad Luffy punched that dude in the face. And she goes on to say that a man called Fisher Tiger actually went up against the Celestial Dragons and freed a bunch of the slaves. And Hachi's mark is the same as her mark, because then he started a group of pirates and they changed the mark to the sun. And it doesn't actually mean that Hachi was a slave of Celestial Dragons, because they say, well, they actually changed it too, because in that way everyone got it, so no one really knew which one was a slave and which one wasn't. See, that's when I actually started liking this Boa character. Is that Oda finally lets you know, like, she pulls off this "I'm so beautiful and everybody loves me," but it's all really just a facade. Because of the stuff that she went through, she kind of has that barrier up. It's really incredible that a creator and a writer can do that, where they can take a character that you could not like at all, and then within one backstory, you're like, I get where you're coming from, and I really like you as a character, and you're good now. You know, from you going not liking a character to like a character with one backstory, it's just, again, I can't reiterate how impressive that actually is. So she agrees to lend Luffy her ship. Before that can happen, the old grandma reads a news article. Through this news article, Luffy finds out that Ace is going to be publicly executed in like 6 days. A regular ship would take 7 days to get back to the archipelago. Ace is going to be dead by then. So Luffy gets the information about Ace, says, "That's my brother. I have to go save him." And he kind of has this moment when she tells him about it's going to take 7 days to get to the archipelago. He's going to die in 6. He has that moment where he just has to tell his crew, you know, in his mind, "I'm sorry, I got to do this. I have to go save him." And she also tells him that the archipelago and 2 of the other islands, Ines Lobby, they're all in this triangle and normal ships can't go through, so they actually have to go on a different route. The only type of ship that can go through is a Navy vessel. Which, if we remember early in the volume, Boa Hancock actually gets invited because she's part of the Warlords, and they're like, "Hey, if you decline, you're not going to be part of the Warlords anymore." And she declines. But now Luffy has to convince her to accept their offer so he can sneak on board this vessel and go save his brother. He goes and sees Boa Hancock, who's fallen ill, and and the grandma's like, "Oh, it's happened to the other empress." And then he asks her, "I need you to accept their offer because I need to get on this vessel to save her brother." She's like, "Anything for you," because she has fallen ill and became lovesick. If we haven't all been there. But yeah, that was volume 53. Like I said, some of it did feel kind of like an offshoot, but then towards the last few chapters, it added the piece to the what I believe is the big story going on in One Piece, which is like Ace, Whitebeard, 7 Warlords of the Sea, all that stuff. So I cannot wait to see Luffy get on this boat and go save his brother. Like, that's going to be, because I mean, obviously he's going to save his brother. You know what I mean? Like, they're not, I mean, he's the main character. He's going to save his brother. You know what I'm saying? But I cannot wait to see him and Ace team up. That's going to be super fun. I'm wondering now, when I get to volume 54, which I'm about to go read, if every volume is now going to be one of the Straw Hats. Like, are we going to pause on Luffy and then pick up with, like, Zoro or Sanji and, like, all these volumes, and it's going to lead to, like, all of them meeting, maybe on the island where Ace is getting held captive? I don't know. I'm super interested. But, yeah, I mean, this volume did kind of seem like an offshoot a little bit in the beginning. You're like, oh, wacky adventures with the mushrooms and stuff. But then, with Boa's backstory, the Ace stuff, the Warlords, and the little crumbs of, like, the Whitebeard and the big story going on at the World of One Piece right now, like, it's still such a fun volume. It's One Piece. There's always good stuff in every volume. So yeah, we know at least Luffy has not been blinked out of existence. So that's very exciting. We can continue our adventures through One Piece. So yeah, let's go to volume 54. Volume 54. Okay, so I was wrong. I'm going to admit it right off the bat. One of my theories was absolutely wrong. It's probably not the first time, and it probably will not be the last time. So, I accept it. But we do get to find out where the rest of the Straw Hats are and where they were sent. Okay, so we start this volume off with Luffy and Boa leaving the island. She's still in love with him, and she smuggles him on the marine ship. But we also get to go back in time, which I think is an interesting idea. So the way it's set up is Luffy and Boa are doing their thing, and then Oda shows us where the other Straw Hats are when Luffy woke up on Lily Island. So Nami is back on Sky Island. Frankie is on Winter Island, still in his swimsuit. Which was kind of funny because the guy even asked him, like, "Hey man, like, you need this loincloth or something?" He's like, no, I'm a man. Swimsuit. Then he did his pose. The pose. And then, my boy Sanji's on Peachy Island. The Island of Dreams, as it's called. Being chased by a bunch of women. And, like, not attractive women? Well, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Who am I to say he's not having a great time with these women? He wants Robin and Nami back. Oh, if I can find the image of his face when he's running away from them. Oh, I really hope I can. It's a great image. Usopp is on Bowen Island, which looks like an island full of giant insects. Like he almost gets eaten by a plant, and he is with an older guy. I think he said his name is Hercules Un. I don't think we've ever been to this island, but yeah, it's just like a giant insects, man-eating plants. Yeah, perfect for Usopp. The bravest of the crew, as we know. I wonder if Soj King is going to make an appearance soon. We haven't seen him in a while. So by far, my favorite, when we find out where all the crew is Brook. So he's on Lazy Bone Island. And I'm guessing they're trying to summon like a demon lord. And they think they summon him, and they have like a sacrifice of this girl. And they're like, oh, is this not enough for you? Because they think, again, he's the demon lord. And he's like, hey, let me see your panties. Like, well, it is definitely not the demon lord they signed up to summon. By far, the one that got the worst luck in the send-off lottery that they had was Robin. He's on Tequila Wolf, and it's like basically a slave island that they're trying to build a bridge for 700 years. Listen, I understand architecture is tough. I get it. You know, a lot of moving parts. If it's taking you 700 years to build a bridge, hey, maybe not. Maybe just give up. But yeah, so she is now being forced to build this bridge. She got the worst luck. Chopper is sent to, all it really says is South Blue, or like some people call this a treasure island. And it looks like he's in this nest, he gets kicked out, and they're like, oh, raccoon stew. And he's like, I'm a reindeer. They're like, reindeer stew. It also says that the birds are in charge on this island, and I guess like the humans or their equivalent on this island is like lower in the food chain. They didn't give a lot of information of where Chopper's at. That's the one that I'm really confused about. And Zoro is on Gloom Island. Perona actually finds him, you know, from the Thriller bark. She does like the negative ghosts. She takes his swords and kind of like wraps him up, bandages and heals him, and then we just cut away. I feel like that pairing is going to be interesting. Because it doesn't look like she is evil now. So I wonder if she's going to help him get off that island and get back to Luffy and the Straw Hats. That was interesting when I was like, oh, I know this person. I know you. Then we were cut back to the present where Luffy is trying to sneak into Impel Down. Impel? Impel Down is what I'm going to call it. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. Just thinking about all the information that was in this volume. Like, it introduced you to Impel Down, this underwater prison, and then you're gone. You're going. So Boa is sneaking Luffy into the prison. She gets him inside the prison, and it is kind of funny, because he's like, doesn't really say anything, just kind of gives her like the peace sign. She's like, he said he loved me. She is head over heels in love with Luffy. It's very funny. I'm glad what they did with that character. That character, Boa, is now, she's pretty cool. She's pretty cool. So the rest of this volume is Luffy infiltrating all the levels of Impel Down. Because it basically has multiple levels of hell, and it gets worse and worse as you go further down. So with Luffy at level 1, he runs into Buggy the Clown. You know, Buggy the Clown, the Chop Chop Fruit. We haven't seen him in a while. He's back. And they actually kind of team up in like a buddy, and it's kind of like a buddy comedy type thing, because they hate each other, that they're in these levels of hell, like the worst place on earth. And then there's jokes about them like screaming at each other and fighting with each other and being like, no, I'm not going to save you. Oh, it's good. Good jokes. They have good jokes in this one. And during Luffy's attempt to save Ace, we actually do have a cut to Ace having a conversation with his grandfather, Garp. And he kind of tells him, Whitebeard is my only father. That's how committed he is to Whitebeard and his whole mission. And remember, at this point, Ace does not know that Luffy has actually infiltrated the unbreakable Impel Down. So he has no idea that his brother is coming to save him at this point. And Boa runs into Hannibal, who wants to be the warden of this place. And he keeps saying, like, when I get to be the warden, even in front of the warden now. And I will say that's what I did like about this volume, is it was action-packed, and they're breaking into a prison and fighting all these things. But the comedy really hit in this volume. Like, for it to have so much action, and it being like a break-in trying to escape out of a prison type story, There was a lot of good comedy in here, too. And one of the funniest characters who ate the poison fruit is Magellan? Magellan? I think it's Magellan. And he is the warden. and they kind of do this thing where he has diarrhea, but he's like, hey, listen, he has diarrhea like 8 hours a day. He sleeps for like 8 hours a day. Because everything that he touches, like, or anything inside, like his breath or anything, is immediately poisoned. So he just keeps eating poisoned food and getting really, really sick with diarrhea. Oh, man. He's a great character. I really like him. And he kind of shows like he's nothing to mess with either when he releases his like poison demon thing out of him. And basically poisons all these inmates that are banging at the door. Like, he's kind of got some power behind him too. There might be a reason he's the warden. Luffy and Buggy finally escape level 1 and go to level 2. They jump down this hole and they meet Mr. 3. You know Mr. 3, the guy from the Baroque Works arc. You know, like the second arc of One Piece. They're bringing that character back. That was fun. Just to have him, like, I'm also locked up. And so now all three of them are kind of a group and trying to escape. Well, Buggy and Mr. 3 are trying to escape. Luffy's trying to go further down into this hell. Mr. 3 actually helps him take down the Basilisk because level 2 is called the Beast Floor. So after they take him down, they're attacked by a bunch of other beasts and they end fighting the Phoenix, which is like this old-looking lion creature. During this, we are introduced to a really interesting character. So on the floor that Ace is being held at, which I can't remember if they actually told us what floor it was. I think it's the 4th floor. It might be the 5th. Probably the 4th, maybe. I don't know if they said it. But we are introduced to Jimby, and he is chained up with Ace. And he just kind of has this quick conversation with Ace, and he says that his heart hurts because he would do anything to stop the war. He seems like he is going to play an important part of the story coming up. I'm not sure that's just again, a theory, and we know how well I was like, oh, each volume's going to be like each Straw Hat. So, you know, my theories are always great. So as they're fighting the Sphinx, it actually breaks the floor and they fall down to level 3, the demonic floor. And another character is brought back, Bon Clay. I mean, it's like a reunion in this prison for Luffy. I actually really like Bon Clay. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm glad to see him back because he actually comes back. You think it's Zoro for a second? He's like, I'm just kidding. It's me. And Luffy's so excited to see him. And he actually has someone else that he wants to see in that level. So that he's like, yeah, I'm going with you. Let's do it together. But during this, Mr. 3 and Buggy try to escape. Like, go back up. Because they're trying to go up. Luffy's trying to take them down. It's been a whole kerfuffle. But as Luffy and Bon Clay are fighting the Minotaur, they hit him, and he kind of flies away. But then in like the next few panels, Buggy and Mr. 3 come running next to him, and Buggy's like, I don't want to go where you're going, but that guy was charging at us. And he ends up actually defeating him with the Buggy Ball. Mr. 3's like, well, you must really believe in it because you've named it after yourself. And then he says the Muggy Ball, and he's like, wait, it's not named after you anymore? I'm telling you, the comedy was actually really on point in this volume, surprisingly. Like, I was like, wow, this is really funny. And the Buggy Ball defeats the Minotaur, and everyone's excited. And in the final few panels of this volume, it goes to Ace, who Boa Hancock has told him that Luffy is coming to get him. And it's just a kind of a close-up of him saying, Luffy, don't come here. Luffy's already plot committed. But I think that Luffy, surprisingly, like he never does before, he is in way over his head. He's only on level 3. I think there's like, I don't know how many floors there are. Maybe 5? If this has been only 3 levels, I can't imagine what level 4 and level 5 are. So yeah, that was volume 54. Man, I will tell you, honestly, the thing that surprised me the most was, one, I think Imperial Down, I think this underwater prison and having these levels and fighting different things on this level, I love that kind of stuff when stories do that. Like The Raid, you seen the movie The Raid? Raid's a great movie. This is like One Piece The Raid. Well, this probably came out before The Raid. So The Raid ripped off this arc of One Piece. I'm saying it now. Calling it. But the comedy and the characters and like having all these characters from his past come back. Buggy, Mr. 3, Bon Clay. It was so fun. For what could have been, Oda could have done like he's in prison, it's dark and moody. He made it so fun, and that's what I loved about this volume. And also, I feel like we're closer and closer to Luffy and Ace reuniting, and I feel like that's just going to be a great moment. Like, I feel it. I'll be so let down if it's not a good moment. Like, I feel it. It's going to be a great moment. Please let it be a great moment. But yeah, so we are left off with Ace knowing Luffy is there. Luffy, Buggy, Mr. 3, Bond Clay, all going to level 4 of hell, basically. And I cannot wait, as always, for volume 55. I feel like we have cranked up to 11, and it's going to be nonstop for a while. I feel like we had, like, volume 53 was a little slow. Like, it felt like, oh, we're setting all this up. Volume 54, we're off to the races. Man, I feel like we got a full tank of gas and we're gunning down the highway. And also, since they did that time jump in the beginning, I wonder if that's setting up, like, the Straw Hats going to be at Imperial Down. You know what I mean? Like, why would Oda say back then and then present day? He said that for a specific reason. So does that mean they had their own adventures and they're going to pop up while Luffy's trying to break Ace out? I think that's what's going to happen. That's another theory. We will see. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I super highly appreciate it. These have been 2 great volumes. Volume 54. Oh, that volume 55 was calling my name. But yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you at volume 55.